It is no secret that Destiny 2's PvP experience has been very lackluster in terms of variety of game modes, new maps introduced, and overall competitive experience. There is one thing above all else that I think could change that, but first, we need to go all the way back to 2007. Before Bungie's drama-filled split from Microsoft and 343 Studios, they released what is arguably one of the best FPS games to ever grace the industry. This game helped pioneer online match-made gameplay into what it is today. This is Halo 3. Now, I'm not here to lecture you on why this game is so good, but more to inform you on the things Bungie has done in the past and has worked tremendously well. But all of a sudden, many of these iconic Bungie PvP traits are gone from their modern multiplayer experiences. The basics of Halo 3 multiplayer are very simple. Spawn with a curated and simple loadout, roam around the map to find additional grenades, sidearms, and power weapons. The table of weapons in this game was much easier to balance due to the lesser amount of weapons to balance, and that is almost completely the opposite of what we have in Destiny 2. Many weapons, and it only becomes increasingly more difficult to balance all those weapons the longer the game goes on without removing any weapons. Along with the gunplay being tremendously simple and straightforward, Halo 3 also had some of the best multiplayer maps that I have ever played. Many of the maps fit the pacing and the amount of players on the map extremely well. Now, the thing that gets even crazier about this being a game from 2007 is that you could edit these maps in a thing called Forge mode. In Forge mode, you could do anything from changing spawn points of players, place weapons wherever you want around the map, spawn vehicles, and even place curated building assets such as signs, crates, cages, launchers, fusion coils, walls, and many other assets from around the game. In the Forge, you could use any PvP map in the game as your template to build your own custom maps. You could save and upload these maps to your file share, and you could share these with other players across your friends list or across the game. When Halo 3 was very competitive back in the MLG days, that's throwback for those of you who remember who that is. Some of the maps used in these tournaments were created by community members in the Forge mode. Not only were some of these custom maps used in a competitive setting, but some of them were also featured in playlists that you could queue in-game. Players had the creative freedom to create community maps that could be used in competitive settings, featured by Bungie themselves in-game. You also had the ability to modify game modes for custom game nights with your friends with the maps that you've created. Now my question is what happened to stuff like this? Now that Bungie has over 100-folded their popularity and net worth with Halo to Destiny, it seems to have come at the sacrifice of the PvP creativity that they once had. It is important to note that Bungie no longer owns the Halo franchise and has been continued by 343 Studios after their split from Microsoft back in 2007. Most of the developers that worked on Halo back in those days are now long gone from Bungie. There are only a couple people that I know of that still work there from the Halo days. Regardless of who worked there at what time to bring these insane visions to life, I just don't understand why we can't have higher expectations. We have a fraction of the amount of creative freedom and choices that we used to have in a multiplayer experience. And the thing is that the Destiny community is insanely gifted when it comes to art. We see this every week in the This Week at Bungie thing that's posted every single week. There's a featured art section with people in the community who come up with these insane art concepts. Why not give the community the tools to not only have their own fun, but also be able to feature these maps in-game? This would help alleviate some of the absolutely horrible PvP map development drought that we've been experiencing for the past however many years, and allow the developers to work on something different. I did some research a couple weeks back where I looked at the average age of every PvP map in the game. And the average age of all PvP maps, if you were to pick any given one, is 5.6 years old. Players are becoming insanely fatigued and tired of many of these maps. The potential for things that could be created within a Forge mode for Destiny 2 are limitless. There are countless possibilities for memories that could be created in custom game nights with friends. I still remember how impactful and fun custom game nights were back in Halo 3. Back when I was a wee little lad. The only utilization that Destiny 2 custom games gets at this current moment are for damage testing new weapons, the very few PvP tournaments that happen, and Destiny Item Manager random loadout nights. That's it. We could be racing around custom Sparrow Racing League tracks, building obstacle courses and jumping around them, hide and go seek maps, better designed competitive maps, and so many other possibilities. All it takes is to give players a set list of assets to build with and a canvas to build on. More can be added over time. By providing players with a custom Forge-like mode, it could also help with providing something to do when the PvE side of things is dry. Taking things a step further with today's technology, we could possibly see a day where you can design your own mini strike or dungeon or other PvE activity in Forge mode. One of the greatest gifts in FPS gaming creativity was given to us 15 years ago, and it just seems like everybody has magically forgotten about it. I genuinely think this could be one of the things that takes the game to the next level in terms of player experience. And the even more ironic part about this whole thing is Destiny is built on what is called the Tiger engine, a modified version of it. For those who don't know, Halo Reach was built on the Tiger engine. And funny enough, Halo Reach was the last Halo game that Bungie produced before they split from Microsoft and 343 Studios. Obviously, they would have to call this mode something different, not call it Forge mode. I'm just using that as a sake of reference for those, for people to understand what I'm talking about. And for anybody who wants to play devil's advocate saying, oh, this is impossible with Destiny because it's so much more evolved, like, listen, man. If they were able to give us that on the Xbox 360, which has the equivalent processing power of a smart fridge nowadays, I definitely think it's possible for new generation consoles and PC to handle it. For those of you who are more hardcore and old school Bungie fans who continue to play Halo games now that they're with 343, I'm sure you guys have probably seen the Forge gameplay that's been going around with Halo Infinite's Forge. Even if the game has turned out to be complete and utter almost trash, the gameplay from the Forge is undeniably insane, where people are building their own custom like zombies maps with like pack-a-punch and all sorts of other crazy new school type technology. And listen here, if anybody from Bungie is listening, we're not asking for anything super crazy. If you want to start off small, cool. Give us a select list of assets that we can use, put into the Forge mode, and just be able to build some fun stuff. We're not asking for the next Forge mode and it needs to be over the top everything off the rip. Just start small and continue to expand on it. It legitimately has limitless potential, and it will create impactful moments that people will remember that are not just relying on the story of the game. If you have not personally checked out any of the Halo games with Forge mode in it, I would highly suggest you even give it a try or look up some videos of it. Lots of great content, limitless potential, and here's to praying.